FSG out versus FSG in. I haven't heard those words in months. And today we are revisiting the age-old conversation or argument around should FSG be the owners of Liverpool. And I am here with, I think, a former FSG outer who might be a believer now. It's Aaron, the London Red. Aaron, we've got some things to talk about here. And here's what we're going to do. So I've got a list of things that I think the FSG out crowd was kind of worked up about for the last decade. And then I'm going to kind of bring in some of the, FSG inners like me, who would kind of counter those. And then we're going to just see where you're at as a former FSG outer. So first and foremost, we had a historic summer, and I'm just going to bring up all of the business that we did this summer as a club. So we've got all of the transfers out. I think we raised over 200 million pounds. I can't remember the exact number, but look at all the names that basically went out. And then, of course, the historic signings that Liverpool brought in this summer. It's a fascinating list. And it's really kind of highlights that this was the plan all along, because this is just ridiculous business. So with that in mind, I want to pull up this beautiful graphic here, Aaron. And just, yes, I'm taking a little bit of a dig at Arsenal, because despite Liverpool's historic, what was it, Aaron, 450 million pounds?
Yeah, somewhere like that. I think was it 446? I think it was
446.
Yeah, something like that.
The net spend was still lower than Arsenal, and of course, every other rival fan is up in arms saying, "Oh, how are we supposed to compete with this?" Everyone seems to conveniently forget that Liverpool hadn't spent for 3 windows prior. We don't need to get into all that. We know all that as Liverpool fans. But here are some of the arguments, okay? So the FSG out crowd obviously hated the European Super League. I don't think anybody liked that. So I was against that. I think everybody else was against that, right? It seems, I think they've learned from those mistakes. The ticket prices, of course, nobody likes that either. They were transforming what was previously a bankrupt club, of course, and then the net spend FC, right? This I think this drove us all a little crazy, right? Like they just did the net spend argument, right? Like they have to sell to buy, and that seemed like the argument for years and years and years. And I think it was more of that strategic spending. And my biggest point, I think I'm just going to get to the end here. The biggest point that I had, and I said this, I think early this summer, was there's a long-term plan here. There's a long-term plan. When FSG bought the club, they had so much work to do, right? They couldn't just go out and spend like City or like United or like Chelsea. They had so much infrastructure to build. And now we're in like phase 3 of FSG's tenure. We don't have to do that infrastructure anymore. We've built it. We've spent the money on that. And now they are investing in the product on the field more than ever before. It was literally the most any English club has ever spent in any transfer window ever. And we broke the British transfer record twice in one window, Aaron. I want to know, how are you feeling about FSG right now?
I remember we did this video last time, Sam, and there's one more to add to that list, is the potential furloughing of the staff as well during
That's
COVID
true.
as well.
Yep.
But I mean, ultimately, when you and I did this video last time, I believe I mentioned to you the only thing was I wanted FSG to show commitment to the club in strengthening, especially from a position of strength. Under Klopp, we won the league, and we kind of took a step backwards. We won the league, and it was almost like we're happy with what we've got. And we ended up in a situation where, for some reason, the very next season, we looked very old. We looked legged. We looked like we'd done 10 rounds with Mike Tyson. We looked like we'd lost all of that energy that we had in that title-winning season. And albeit it was a very comfortable title-winning season, I think we went on to 99 points. We were just shy of...
Ridiculous.
Yeah, we were just shy of the Centurions. But, I just wanted FSG to show commitment, and that was the only reason.
Yeah.
Ultimately, everyone tells me FSG are an unbelievable business, and I agree. Yeah, they do great business. They use their money wisely. Yeah, which is almost a little bit of a contradiction. But ultimately, as a Liverpool fan, everybody wants to win. Everybody wants to win. Even if you're a Brighton Hove Albion, you want an FA Cup.
Yeah.
Crystal Palace just picked up an FA Cup there with very little investment, and look what it meant to them. And that's all we want as fans. We just want to win things, and it is quite a fickle sport. Fans are fickle, but ultimately that commitment from FSG this season, I can never question it. And you're right. Just that. I suppose just saving for that rainy day. Well, it's come, hasn't it? And mate, I couldn't be happier as a Liverpool fan. Mark Gay would have been the difference maker as well, but that was, we'll see him in a red shirt next season, I believe.
Yeah, we will. You can see, Aaron, it wasn't just about money, right? You can't just go into this market with like, oh yeah, we're going to spend 450 million because you needed the players, the best players, to be bought in already. We saw it with Florian Wirtz, right? He was the first domino to fall. We already knew that Kirkez would come, and Frimpong was kind of a no-brainer, I think. Nobody was really shocked by those two guys. But when Florian Wirtz said it was only Liverpool, that was when it was like, oh my goodness. The infrastructure built, the training facilities, obviously Arneslot, Edwards, Hughes, the way that FSG have conducted all of these things to kind of come into this perfect storm of not just money, Aaron, but the plan, the vision to say to Florian Wirtz, here's what we're going to do with you. And he's like, I'm not going to Bayern Munich. I have to go to Liverpool. Yeah. I can't miss out on this. Alexander Isak, from the beginning of the summer, it was only Liverpool, right? No one else would even try to go in for him because he's like, no, it's only Liverpool. Mark Gahey, same thing. So it's not just about the money. It was about this long-term plan to build this infrastructure to be the most attractive club in England, maybe even the world at this point. So I think it's just a fantastic case study on, you can go out like Manchester United this summer. They spent another 200 million. Man City, same thing. Arsenal, Chelsea, all these clubs have just more money than they can spend in a transfer window. But it's not working. It worked for City for years, right? Worked for Chelsea back in the Mourinho era. Worked for Ferguson back when Manchester United were ruling England, and they all had their dynasties. Do you feel like, Aaron, this is the beginning of a Liverpool dynasty?
Well, I think what Liverpool have bought is the next 5 years. What they've purchased in terms of players. All of them are at a fabulous age that in the next 5 years they're going to come into their peak. Even the likes of Alexander Isak, he's coming in at 25 years old. Ekitike, he's a kid. These guys are kids, and they're coming in with at least 5 years of top quality, energetic football. And I just think Liverpool have been very strategic. They haven't bought a Johan Visser at 28 for £55 million, and essentially bought him in his prime. I think, his prime is one good season. Isak's had 2 great seasons. So from 23 to 25, he's tore the league up. And potentially we could have at least 5 seasons of him tearing that league up. Think about Salah. If Isak can look after his body like Salah looks after his body, there's no reason why. He has the pace. He has the physical structure in terms of his body size and his body shape. He could be a superstar for the next 5 years at least.
Absolutely. So, Aaron, are you an FSG in guy now?
Like I said to you, Sam, for me, it was about showing commitment. I 100%, I cannot fault FSG at all. And I would go one step further and say the way Richard Hughes and Michael Edwards have moved in this market has been genius-like. The way they've played not only the other teams who they've purchased players for, but also the media has been unreal. They have spun it. Honestly, this is as good as I've ever seen a club move. I think this is proper genius level running from FSG and the main men, in my opinion, Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes. I think they've done an exceptional job this year.
Yeah. It's pretty wild what they've been able to accomplish.
Unbelievable.
Well, let me know what you think in the comments. As always, up the Reds. I'm excited to see what our FSG and FSG Out crowd has to say on this one. Get them in, guys. We'll see you in the comments.